It is a wild Wednesday. We are back after a mild hiatus. Scotch White's Tony Dean. Sarah, I totally blanked out on Sarah's last name. Sarah Sheely. I want to say Shusher, but
I'm like your favorite co-host.
I think I combined your last name with Patrick's last name, and Patrick Disher. And
this is why I said we needed a plan.
Yeah. I like to call him Dishler.
Dishler.
Yes, the
it's
Dishler.
My favorite. Yeah.
Hey, I'll take whatever I can get, guys.
Especially after last week.
Just crush.
Great show.
That was not nice.
I mean, it's the greatest show that's ever happened.
I think so, too. I think
story.
I have a big, prominent career coming up ahead of me.
Yeah. I almost want to just promote that show every week instead of the show that we do.
Let's just play clips.
You know what it is? It's like getting rickrolled in the form of a podcast. It's just unbelievable how good that would be if we just played last week's show every single time we had a new show.
Dude, I just think a little clip. We'll take a favorite clip every week.
I was there. Where were you guys? Not there. Tony Dean, Scott Schweitz, Sarah Sheely. I had a couple fill-in hosts bail on me last minute. So Shannon and I, my girl, we carried it home.
You know what? That show was sexy. Like the entire,
sexy.
like
I was a little turned on too.
Like most of what took place, just sexiness is unbelievable. As we give, we also receive. We haven't been here.
Sounds like a personal problem.
I am Tony Dean. I have been just taping interviews where I talk for like 28 minutes and the rest of the
great interviews. We've been listening to them in full.
So you're actually
on the way out the door.
So you're actually here.
In the car.
You've been a very regular visitor of the Southside Studios.
Yes, I've been making trips over here, which I don't like to do. I'm a St. Paul kid, so we have like a border.
Yeah, I'm with you.
war.
I hate this.
I love it. Welcome to my side
on
of
the
the
way
city,
over
boys.
here. I think I said no less than about 35 swear words.
Yeah.
I mean 62 and 35 on the way. I'm like I don't know why. I'd self-implode if I lived over here.
And you know what? The OCD factor, like you can't control the fact that you're going to go 3 miles an hour all the way to the show. I'm sure you were just losing your mind.
I probably would have driven 100 miles out of my way to like continue to move.
I did invite you to Plymouth, but you did decline that.
I don't even know where that is.
Oh man, Plymouth is on a different continent.
Is that by Maple Grove?
It's closer than
I don't want to hear any.
You live in.
Don't
I'm not
Lakeville
gonna. I'm not
comments.
gonna say. I'm gonna say you live in Lakeville. Come
I can
on,
literally
bro.
get like Lakeville's connected to corridors. I don't want to hear it.
My house is 10 minutes from downtown Minneapolis.
How good is that downtown Scott moved to Lakeville? Now he
I
can
know.
talk all of that shit.
I know.
I live in a quaint little neighborhood. It's beautiful. Nice people. Met a fellow season ticket holder.
Many Caucasians is what he's saying. Shots fired.
That's
Shots
being edited out.
Immediately.
Never.
It's a hockey community. Nice. I like how we did that.
Nice transition.
So a couple things that we have going on here coming up. We have a huge June 26th NHL draft show, and it's going to be a tent party at Bennett's. They're going to have a band. We're going to have a show that has multiple segments. It's going to have multiple guests. I believe you're going to be there, Sarah, huh?
Oh yeah, I'll stop by for sure.
And then
If we can say her last name,
Nice.
which I feel.
Scott, we've talked like every day for 3 weeks.
I'm
Best
pretty,
friends forever.
I'm pretty
Best
much,
friends forever.
I'm pretty much beating myself up right now about this whole thing.
It's all right.
I got nervous and I froze.
You blacked out of anger on your way to Minneapolis, so I'll forgive you this one time.
And no food. Remember the
Hangry.
no food.
He's really hangry right now,
Hangry's the
guys.
thing.
So
It's-
any outbursts that come from him, we'd like to apologize.
Some people
right
see
now.
red. I see KFC. Like
know-
it's just
normally I would just think that that's a BS excuse, except for when you're eating Bennett's and getting to do a hockey podcast. Completely.
I'm
a
going.
thing.
I'm going
It's
through.
completely
I'm
a
going through
thing.
my my dry rub wing withdrawal right now because
No doubt.
we have to be at the Southside Studios because Rolling Stones are tonight and Bennett's are so packed with people and reservations because they're running 2-3 shuttles over to TCF that they had no. I kind of feel like Joseph and Mary. There's no room in the inn.
They
like,
were
for us.
literally too popular for us tonight.
I don't know how to put myself like those. Those,
You just called yourself Joseph. That's all right. I'm Mary.
And
are you? That means
You're Jesus.
What am I? You know what? I'm non-practicing, so I've never read the book. I've just decided I didn't want to.
I'm just out of the club.
At one point in time, like in
not interested.
biblical references, like Joseph and Mary looking for a place to have their child, and there was no room in the inn, so they had to go in the stable. So this is our stable. There was no room in the Bennett's
You
inn.
just became baby Jesus.
Unbelievable.
And Patrick brought some myrrh or something. I don't know.
Celine,
Is he like a wise
I'm the
man?
shepherd.
Yes,
He's a wise man. There we go.
I'm the guy who kicked you guys out.
Celine, the Big Bang happened, and then there was dinosaur extinction, or like how did it?
Now we're all going cross route.
I like to poke at people that study the thing. I'm a little bit antagonist in nature. That's why I wanted to get out here because I've been doing interviews by myself. And
Literally.
then Scott and Shara, and here's what I'm saying, Patrick. You have been very supplemental, but I can just talk for like 34 minutes about stuff that I've decided I care about, and then I feel like I'm not a part of the mix. You know,
we should have had the song "All by Myself" queued up. That would have been beautiful.
That would have been awesome. Cute. I thought you were a mystical person. I did not think I heard you on the interviews, but I didn't know you were actually real.
Sure, and I get called a lot of things, and mystical's never been one of them. Most of them, usually you can't say them in public without people like feeling a certain way. You know.
I heard some other things, but I just came up with mystical.
That's the thing I was saying. That's the thing I was talking about. But I knew your last name.
Yeah. Yeah, Scott, you're fired.
I suck.
No more pep talks or high fives for you.
Well, that hurts.
So, going forward, we're going to have Derek Felska down next week, and we are going to talk about the organizational prospects, and we're going to talk about the offseason in general, and we're going to do some draft preview stuff because Derek does a very good job of knowing individual players into the NHL draft, which is a tough thing to do.
It's a tough thing to do.
Because these players play everywhere. They play in Uzbekistan. They play in Western Canada. That's well played. You know what? I should take shots. You know what I mean? Because we come out right away and we fire at Patrick, who's been steering the ship and keeping us afloat, and then we just destroy him. Just same thing. We destroy Shannon, and Shannon came out here.
Man, I really hope she doesn't listen to the show after you're just... Pat, can you edit this out?
Yeah, we're editing it out.
And you know what? I still did it. Like, I was still going to... Like, there's no chance. And it has nothing to do with your feelings. It has everything to do with mine. It's selfish.
Is that just my phone?
Yeah. I was confused for a while. I thought my computer was
This is why Scott is not the producer of the show.
Oh, here it comes. Wait for it.
Tony, start talking.
It's really good.
It's awesome.
I didn't want to ruin it with talking.
He could voice over that song and just blab for the next 7 minutes.
I thought for sure, like, Sarah would be all a little bit like excited because that was one of her country women.
You know, my heart did kind of do a little flutter.
Well, does your heart go on? Is that another Celine Dion reference?
That's a great. How do you know?
My heart went on.
How are you such an alpha?
A Celine Dion.
How are you such an alpha male with so many Celine Dion references just right away?
Celine Dion.
It was on your phone. You didn't even Google it. I seen what you did right there.
You just hit the music tab.
I typed all by myself.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Yeah, into his playlist.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yes, it was his ringtone.
It was like a little Celine Dion. What's up?
He picked up my phone and called him, and that's what played.
So what do we do? So to get on track, right? There's a couple things that are going to take place.
Raining us in.
There's going to be a couple things that take place here initially, possibly before the draft, into the draft, and it's like 1A and 1B in the priority. So you have to get Devin Dubnyk signed, or you have to figure out what he's looking for and if you're close and if it works for you. And then you have to figure out what you're going to do with Mikael Granlund. Sarah, with both of those guys, I think that they both have shown potential to be the number one guy at the position for the Wild, but I think both of them have some question marks. What do you think about both of them into the offseason?
You know, I think with Doobie, obviously it's our number one priority. That's it. There's nothing else around it. I think 3-4 million, 3-4 years, something like that we're looking at. I think that seems fair. We don't have a ton of cap space. I think it starts with him. It trickles down from there. We figure it out after that. I think that the fans would just lose their shit without a better way of saying it, literally lose it if we don't get him back. And I think he wants to be here. I think it's a doable thing. Granlund's a little tougher. I think that figuring out that contract is going to be a little bit tougher than what we would like, but I'd like to see him back.
What's interesting about the Granlund situation is that he gambled on himself a bit, not wanting to lock himself into a more reasonable deal where in the $4-5 million range for 5 years. Or even like Charlie Coyle. Charlie Coyle signed, a 4-year, $4 million, 3-point-something million deal. And so he gambled on himself, and his production wasn't there this year.
And it wasn't. And, I think that he planned on coming out, even though his production wasn't there, wasn't where it wanted to be. I think that when it came back to, okay, we are going to make the playoffs, he planned on coming in and being the Granlund we saw last year, and being that person in the playoffs that we really needed and be like, all right, I can finish strong and get what I need in this contract. And I don't think that we saw that, but I do think that he'll be back.
How much do you contribute the Granlund situation to his agent? I mean, do you think his agent was like pumping him and saying, if you do it right now, you're not going to get your max value. So let it play out and see if you can, be the player that you were before, because your stock was really high last year playoffs and now it's kind of dropped a little bit, and you didn't take advantage of maybe when it was high in the beginning, maybe even coming into the season. And he's like, just see how it goes. I mean, I think he might have screwed him a little bit.
Well, and I think a lot of this has to do with the business of hockey right now. So when you look at Granlund, he is a top 6 center. He is a dynamic playmaker. He's a guy that stands to, if he stays healthy and he has a bounce back year, he can put up between 50 and 70 points and be in line for the type of contract that will pay him $6-7 million a year. And I don't think that his production in his first 3 years in the league have shown that, but he's also flashed. When he was playing on the line with Teemu Selanne for Finland in the Olympics, I mean, Granlund came up with genius moments.
He was so fun to watch.
And he has these genius moments where he does stuff that nobody else can do, and it reminds you that previous to him coming across the pond, I'll say across the pond, I'll be proud of myself for the reference.
Nice, good call.
It's like a British reference.
Previous to him coming across the pond,
Scott doesn't know what that means.
Finland, geography, words.
Nice.
What's you say?
Pond.
Don't they say about
P-O-N-D.
don't they say that about Britain, like across the pond, like?
Oh God! But someone get this guy a chicken wing.
The thing in between Britain and America and Canada,
all right, get on with it,
is a pond, and then Finland's over there too.
I get it.
And so it's still coming across the pond if you come. Look at these, like, fuck you guys.
Someone get me some chicken wings.
Geographically, it's one of the finger countries. If you'd like to really go into like lessons.
Shots fired. I like. He's like, me and Sarah have developed chemistry, and then Dean shows up and just fucking ruins it. What a
Well, I'm
jerk.
getting a little mad. He's not like more in the game here. He's just getting angry. I'm blaming this on Pat.
Yeah, it's Pat.
Right. And it all leads back to what happened last week, which was just the sexiest thing that's ever happened.
Maybe that's why Bennett didn't want us this time.
It was graceful. It was so graceful how they did it.
Dicks. Okay.
Hey, we got a lot of Rolling Stones people coming in. Like I'm gonna drive by and there's gonna be like nobody in there.
Should we Google it? They're not even running a shuttle.
Vacant.
They're not even here today.
Vacant. So, previous to his pro career starting, Granlund was like the number 1 prospect in the entire world. And he has these elite level skills in his game, and he has this high ceiling potential. And then,
but he's little. I mean, the thing is, he's little. I mean, he can't.
Little guys are translating.
Yeah, but he can be. But he tries to play a bigger player's game, and that's when he gets himself into trouble because he tries to be aggressive.
Sure.
And then he gets into
That's
concussion
a phenomenal
problems.
point, actually.
And he tries, and that's what scares the hell out of the Wild. Is like it's gonna. How many more is he gonna be another PMB? And all of a sudden you're gonna have PMB syndrome where you got somebody sitting on a shelf for 2+ years. With like waterhead syndrome, like you basically have like ultimately like it's like I can't skate, I can't do this, I'm sitting around. It's like God, he's like the dad from that '70s show.
No, honestly though, that couldn't have been said better though. He does try to play the big boy game, and he's not, and you do kind of have to. He's been able to do it now, but how long can he do that?
Body slammed him.
Yeah.
I mean, like literally, he tried to go Rocky on like Dolph Lundgren and like picked him up and like slammed him to the mat. And he's like, "What are you gonna do? Like you're a little guy."
And how long are you gonna be able to get up from that for?
Isn't it? But isn't it a double-edged sword, right? Isn't the reason that we thought that Jason Zucker couldn't get into the lineup is because he didn't play defense, because he wasn't responsible on both ends, and then I love Mikko Koivu. I can say I love Mikko Koivu for what I came to realize about his game this year. But
I love Koivu.
And a lot of people do. But the reason that you love Koivu and the reason that you love Zach Parise and the reason that these are your leaders is because you're responsible in both ends. And so because you need to be responsible on both ends, isn't Granlund doing the thing that his leaders on the ice and behind the bench are asking him to do, and that's be more involved in the defense, be more involved in the board battles, and be more of a two-way player?
No, I believe me. In the playoffs, I think he stepped up. I think he stepped up again. I think
That's what he does.
He disappeared, during the regular season. He did have some injury issues, but ultimately, you have to find out like, where is his fit? Is he a top line center or is he a second line center? I mean, truth be told, if we're gonna all be put our honesty hats on, Koivu's not a second line center. He's a third line center.
Hats.
I mean,
Wow.
Koivu should be a defense first third line center. He's not bringing the offense, and that's why people get pissed. And that's why we all got pissed early in the season because he wasn't contributing, and people were expecting that. That's not his game.
I would say, and I don't disagree with that point, except to say that Koivu's not a third line center. He's a guy that needs to be deployed in a specialized manner, and that's not it's
well,
not,
however you want to define your lines is fine, but that's if you're putting him with people that are scoring goals,
sure,
that's not his forte. I mean, it's not. He can score goals, but it's not like he's not the kind of player that we need to be putting the points on the sheet.
He was very, very good with Jason Zucker this year, and I think that what you realized is when you put him with the guy that can carry the puck, that has speed, that can enter the zone and allow time for Koivu to get into the zone, then the things that Koivu does good is he shields the puck. He is still a playmaker for his teammates. The way that they cycle the puck with him on the ice, especially when paired with Chris Stewart this season, a lot of what they created with that line is what matched up really well against the Blues, and so
But prior to that, you had Vanek, and you had the chemistry with Vanek and Zucker, and Vanek and Nino, and so you build a little chemistry, and then it'll come. Then I don't know if it's the fact that teams realize it and they can counter it, but it's like hot in the pan for a while, and then it kind of goes away, and then you kind of mix somebody else in, and it works, and then it kind of goes away, and so you gotta find that constant like chemistry that can continue and thrive and have some staying power that can go from week to week, month to month, and not have to be tweaking things over and over and over again.
And I agree with you. And let me and I know you want to say something, Sarah. That's why I wrote about it all season, and I stand by it. That I believe that they have talented pieces, the most talented roster that they've ever had in franchise history.
Absolutely.
Their talent level, top to bottom on this roster, I would stack against any team in the league. But the pieces don't fit. These guys don't fit together right. And because of that, Mike Yeo tends to default to a safe zone because of however his personality, his philosophy is. And his safe zone is keeping all of those veterans happy because they've kept him in a job, and is keeping them on the power play long after the power play is a rotting, stinking carcass, and nobody takes some responsibility for it, even after
finally changed in the Blackhawks series. Finally saw the power play change too late.
But did it matter? It didn't matter.
No,
but at that point, like it finally. So maybe who knows? Maybe next year we'll see what happens.
Although Chuck Fletcher in his postseason said, well, this is certainly not Andrew Brunette's fault, right? But that's the guy in charge of your power play, so it's not his fault. And then you never mention Yeo. Yo's a great coach. And then they never mention the personnel because those veterans, they work their tails off. So where is the
problem? Because I do think we do have a great coach. We do. I do believe in Yeo, but I do believe that maybe there's a little bit of the veterans leading the coach situation.
Well, and you said that. I mean, Russo commented the fact that you can't put somebody like Suter or anybody like on the shelf, that he expects to play on the first power play unit when he has a 11-year deal left. He signed a 13-year deal.
Sure.
He's got 10 years now left. What are you going to do? Like, hey, you're not. I mean, I don't think he's the type of person, like personality-wise, that would like take issue with something like that, considering he plays so many minutes. But who knows? Maybe you're so scared that
But I think that's why he's playing so many minutes this year, because he wants to play that many minutes.
Yes, but was he doing it effectively?
No, he wasn't.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's
my point. He's telling this is it. I'm playing. I did this last year. I did well with this last year, so we're doing it again.
See, I've never been. I mean, granted, I never played to the level of that. Anybody would.
I mean, you were great. But in your own way.
Yeah, for sure. I still am. But
yes. The pond hockey.
But point being is, you never dictate to. I don't care what level you are. you never dictate to your coach what you play.
Unless you do.
You can try.
Unless it's happening.
But I'm saying, like, I never was at the level where I could, like, say that with authority. Like, even, through high... I mean, you were like, I'm playing, and this is how it is. They'd be like, sit your ass on the bench and shut up.
But
like,
I think
I'll
that's
tell you
the
when
problem.
you're going out.
I think that's the problem. I think that maybe Yo's saying that, and then they're going, well, no, I'm going to play. And he's like, well.
Or he's not saying it.
He's not saying it.
He's the
afraid.
dad that sees the kid, and he's like, I think he's smoking pot, but I don't want to fight with him. I don't want to have
I haven't
this
actually
fight.
seen it.
Will he
Why
not,
are they burning incense in the basement?
will he not love me if I call him into question?
Yep, and that's...
And when you do that,
Cue the Celine Dion.
it creates these problems. Nice. It creates these problems that I believe are completely real. They're completely legitimate. And then when you reference that or you broach it, whether you do it on social media, whether you mention it to somebody that has access to the team, well, then you get fucking savage. Then you're
Explicit.
whoa,
F-bombs.
right away.
We just had to click the box.
Fucking savage.
That's all right. We haven't started
back.
really talking about the Blackhawks yet, so it'll come out.
And why you do that, you get the
no.
bad fan. You get the bad fan rep to be like, well, I mean, Suter is definitely talented, but should he be playing on the power play? Probably not.
Nope.
Should Suter be playing 30 minutes a game when you have what I believe is a talented young defensive corps behind him, to include Christian Folin, who didn't play in the playoffs at all, which is a travesty. And you have
Love that word.
you have Marco Scandella and Jared Spurgeon, who were wholeheartedly more effective than Ryan Suter all season.
Well, Suter
in both
had a
ends.
horrible playoffs. I mean, especially the last series. The Blackhawks series was just awful.
But Ryan Suter was outplayed by Jared Spurgeon and Marco Scandella all fucking season. And he gets
F-bomb number 2.
He gets to dictate. Actually, it's 3. I mixed one in.
Yeah, that was it.
I missed it.
And
if we're keeping track.
and he gets to dictate to the coach when he's coming on and off the ice.
And that's another reason I sadly think that Spurgeon's days are numbered, because they realize the fact that he does have value, that other teams see it. Like, the Islanders, I'm sure, once again are kicking themselves for, like, how did we let this kid go? And they have players on the roster that do things that he does. Maybe not as well, but they have Dumba, who's up and coming, who has the offensive.
And I just love him.
Who has the offensive effect.
I'll fly his flag every day. I love him.
And
Because he looks like Rufio.
I think he looks like you.
Rufio.
Like,
Nice.
I mean, honest to God, I think you kind of have similarities. I said that long ago.
I see so much potential in that kid and the way that he plays, and he's fired up. I love him.
But you have a player that now has excelled to the level where his next contract is going to have to be more than you're going to pay him. Like, what does that say? Like, that kid is damn good, but now you're going to have to get rid of him.
So you would rather get rid of him than Spurgeon? You'd rather trade him and not have Spurgeon? Or?
I'm saying, but Spurgeon has got to the level where he's good enough that you have to get rid of him.
Who are you saying instead of who?
I'm saying he's talking about he doesn't want to re-sign Spurgeon, get rid of him.
Well, no, he doesn't want to get rid of Spurgeon.
I don't want to get rid of Spurgeon, but you have to. Like, he's going to demand enough cash that they feel they have to get rid of him, because they just signed Scandella to a long-term deal. They got
reasonable, so reasonable.
But then they have
Brodin on a long-term contract.
Brodin on a long-term,
Reasonable.
Suter on a long-term.
Folin we're going to sign.
So they're gonna go after some bottom end D guys, and they're gonna trade off Spurgeon before they have to pay
I think you have to, honestly. And I say sadly, too, because I do really like him, but I just don't see what other options you have, honestly, especially with the whole Doobie contract. I mean, there's not enough room.
You look at the business of hockey, right? And I think the fan perspective is, and I'm completely a fan of Jared Spurgeon. In fact, I think Jared Spurgeon maybe our most consistently effective, talented defender last season.
Bought his jersey 3 years ago.
And maybe even our most effectively talented, consistent performer the season before that, right? So this is 2 years running. He's our best defenseman.
Clutch, by the way.
Clutch. More hits than anybody. He's the tiniest guy. He's a pocket. He's a micro mini.
Scores timely
right?
goals.
Hits people more. But the business of hockey, if you look at this roster, and I wrote a lot about it at Hockey Buzz this week, and I hope people seek out my writing, because I think that I attack kind of the common narratives that fans fall victim to with PR and with groupthink, and one of those common narratives is that we shouldn't trade Jared Spurgeon because he's a great player. The reason that we're going to have to trade Jared Spurgeon is because Chuck Fletcher has painted himself into a corner. And he's painted himself into a corner by having multiple veteran contracts that include no movement clauses, that have no trade clauses
that go on forever,
that are big money contracts on guys who disappeared in the playoffs, who are viewed as talented guys, but having a flaw with them. The most tradable veteran guy probably is Jason Pominville, and if you mention trading Jason Pominville, then Wild fans lose their
I was about to lose my shit.
Lose their shit. But the reason I say that is...
You shouldn't.
Jason Pominville, right? He doesn't have a no-movement clause like Mikko Koivu, like Nicholas Backstrom, like Zach Parise, like Ryan Suter. He has a situational, like, no-trade clause. The other thing is... he's getting paid like $5.6 million as opposed to like the $7 million or $9 million cap hits of Parise and Suter. Koivu's in like the $7 million.
7.5, I think. 6.5.
Vanek's in the $7 million range. So these are guys you can't move. Even Backstrom's in like the
you're gonna buy
three and a
him.
half.
I think it's 3. We're going to buy him.
We shouldn't
out,
even
yeah.
talk about him because we're going to buy his ass out.
But beyond that, right? Even if you could find somebody to take Backstrom,
Nobody will.
Nobody will. You got to dangle him a little bit and pray for a miracle. You have, dangle him out there, see what happens. But
who the hell is going to buy? Come on.
if you dangle him and keep part of his contract or something, there's a miracle chance
You guys
that someone's
are
desperate.
wasting carbon dioxide right now. You're wasting.
So what do you can't
No, I
not
disagree.
you can't no.
I totally disagree. And the reason I disagree is
if you pair him with something.
Yes.
Nobody's going to take. No.
Well,
we'll buy him out.
dioxide.
Yeah,
Yes.
you got to try. You got to just hope someone's had a couple
maneuvering.
vodka tonics for breakfast or something.
What are you going to pair him with?
You pair him. Here's what I'm saying. You pair him with an asset, which sucks to get rid of him, but you're moving him.
Fuck it, I buy him out.
Yeah, but-
buy him out. Don't
Well,
waste.
we're going
don't,
to when
don't
no
give,
one takes
Don't
it.
give
Scott,
any. Don't give any
but
money.
Scott,
Yes.
No,
Mute. Mute.
no asset should
Mute.
go with him. He is dead weight.
Yes, but we of course we
I'm
know
with
that.
Scott,
That's why we
100%.
wrapped him in
He's
bubble
dead
wrap.
weight.
We can't give away any more assets. We've been trading draft picks left and right.
But
We can't.
You're with Scott, and we are with you with regard to his contributions on
But
the
we
ice.
can't,
but we're not with you the business aspect of it, because if you buy him out, guess how much of his buyout counts against the salary cap? All of it, because of his age.
Not all of it. Multiple years.
No.
You can spread it.
You can spread it, but you still have to account for that money, and it still counts against your cap.
It's not the full 3.5.
If you can trade him this year, you could keep like 1.5 of it. The other 2 mil that you get off of the cap, plus you free up the roster spot as well. And that's
You got to dangle it. I mean, I'm not saying someone's going to take it.
You don't think they have been? Come on.
Well, sure. I think they dangled a lot of players.
They've dangled him since he's been like
Since we wrapped him in bubble wrap all
moderately
last season.
healthy.
But the business of hockey is what you're not taking into account, right? There's teams that are going to be brand new, like young guys. They're going to be near the cap floor. They'd be willing to take on that contract if you give them an asset. And it's not even like we're not giving away first round picks to dump Backstrom, but you could take a guy that maybe you have a different projection on, and you can flip him, especially a guy that's never going to contribute here. And that they could have done it maybe with Zach Phillips. You could do it with some other guys that are never going to be in your plans and move that contract. I mean, that's the business. And that's what's so good about an off-season geek like me.
I love the fact that you think this is like a possibility, but
we're not even saying it's a possibility. We're saying we have to do it.
No GM in their right mind would even touch him because he has like a Teflon, not even Teflon. He has a porcelain groin that it's like one little slip away from like
porcelain groin. I would like to say that was just great. Porcelain groin.
Actually, I don't want to say a porcelain.
I'm saying is porcelain isn't porcelain like strong?
Let's say plaster.
Yes.
No, porcelain groin is perfect.
Is it?
Yeah. No, porcelain I think is tough. Plaster groin is even weaker.
Have you been peaking?
No, I'm not peaking. I'm drinking Coors Light because Coors Light is our sponsor here on the Wild Wednesday show, and that's what we love, and that's why we're drinking it.
Even I'm drinking a Coors Light tonight.
And she's a wino.
Yeah. I ditched my Chardonnay, and I'm drinking a Coors Light.
Because you care about the broadcast, right?
Yeah, I care.
And we care about our sponsors.
God bless you.
You know what the other thing is? When Bennett tells us that they love us, but
why
have
why talk about Bennett's when I'm not at Bennett's and I can't have the wings?
Well, because
Oh my God, he's so hangry.
Because I'm going to do it.
I'm going to bring snacks next time.
We should call Bennett's and tell them to get over here with some dry
I want a chopped salad with no olives.
Yeah.
And some of those little Charlie sandwiches, those are amazing.
That
you
steak
had those?
you had, Sarah, was probably the best steak.
It was
you've had in a
phenomenal.
while.
It was phenomenal.
we should
Their house cut French fries.
You know what we should do? We should keep talking about their food.
Yeah.
It's a really
You caught on?
It's a really
you saw that
it's
was
a really
a thing.
good idea.
I like that you saw that was a thing. The other portion of it though is that you have to have another team want the guy that you're willing to give up, and I'm not sure there hasn't been a market for Kyle Brodziak, although I think that he has proven that he's going to be a third line center somewhere, and they're going to pay him more money than the Wild can give up. You have Jonas Brodin, who's probably untouchable, and then the rest of the guys I think will attack after the break. We're going to break. We just savaged each other.
I'm kind of hungry. Are you hungry?
I'm starving for dry rub wings and a Coors Light.
For Coors Light and Bennett's Wings.
But we're all hungry for Bennett stuff. You know, you can always check out their happy hour, $2.50 tap beers, $3.50 domestic bottles, and Coors Light. We got $4.50 martinis and call drinks, and we got $5 sliders and some other stuff. We love
Dry
Bennett's.
rub wings.
Dry rub wings. Let's go to break, guys. You guys cool with that? Can we all agree on one thing?
No.
Shut up, Scott.
Hangry.
I didn't even say anything.
What are you drinking tonight, Jason?
The Minnesota Pubcast with Jason and Molly.
I'm drinking a Liftbridge Hop Dish.
It's Pub Talk from a Minnesotan perspective.
I'm always really proud of where I'm from. I'm super proud of Minnesota, and I think Minneapolis is awesome. I think St. Paul is awesome. I think they're a really awesome cultural epicenter.
With great local guests.
So the other voice you hear in the room today is Jerry Fagerberg from the City Pages. Talk about the official Minnesota Tall Boy, which your piece is on the cover of the City Pages today.
It is on the cover, came out today.
Talking movies.
All right, you saw Boyhood. I need to hear what you thought.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Sports.
A guy who was undrafted knew what was coming.
And everything else you talk about at the pub.
Let's not pretend like we know what we're talking about.
Well, what do you think I do every show?
The Minnesota Pubcast with Jason McGovern and Molly Burke. Listen at mnpubcast.com or subscribe on iTunes.
We want to just find meaning in life.
Join longtime radio personality and producer Kelly Guest and friend, CEO of Fantasy Gifts, Colleen Bertino, as they talk about all things sex, men, women. Lend them your ears and learn everything you wanted to know about sex and intimacy. Only here on the Alive and Social Network.
Then we're back to Southside Studios, sans Bennett's, because of the Rolling Stones. So I love this. Patrick's got the segue built in here. So sadly, we're not at Bennett's, but we will be back there next week, and I will be housing lots of dry rub wings and even more Coors Lights, just because.
Yeah, well, if we take a week off, you know, we got to up our Coors Light. It took me like 50 minutes to get a Coors Light last
I gotta
week.
drink
I
like
kept pointing.
I gotta drink like 10 Coors Lights and like 24 wings.
Not at Bennett's, though. You got those really quickly, right?
Yeah, it was really fast.
Yeah.
I mean, there'd be deniability if during the show he didn't go, "Where is my Coors Light?
I miss Scott.
Where is this lady?" I mean, she looked at me, but then she didn't bring it.
He had nothing else to say. He probably never actually asked for it. He was just like trying to like
Wyatt?
grasp it.
Just outstanding. Where was Wyatt?
Where is Wyatt? Where's Wyatt tonight?
Wyatt can start fires with his mind. I want to mention that.
Do you think he ever listens to our shows or no?
No, I had to tell him how to listen to the show yesterday. The guy, we set up this. I'm gonna pimp this show real quick. We do Rusty Gatenby,
probably
the
should've
Twin Cities
told him.
hit shows out at the Chart House, right? Thursday nights every week.
Hey, where is the Chart House?
It's in Lakeville, right
Weird.
off 35, right by Scotty's house. And
It's beautiful, actually.
We
And
leave the
and
studio.
It's nowhere near Iowa, so
No.
the rest of you no, sorry.
Yeah, we leave the studio
Whoa,
at 2
whoa.
o'clock, right? Wyatt gets so lost, he shows up there at like 3 or 4:45, like 15 minutes before we're supposed to do the show.
Whoa.
The guy doesn't know how to put GPS, an address into his phone and use his phone as GPS. It was just crazy. That's our producer.
It's because
He's producing the show.
It's because he has a flip phone.
Wyatt's a ginger. You need to be very careful. You're going to end up
Is
on a
Wyatt
list.
a ginger?
He's not a ginger.
He's not a ginger?
No.
You haven't even met Wyatt yet. That's how MIA you
I've
are.
met Wyatt.
You know what he
multiple
looks like? He looks like the guy from Superbad, like the nerdy guy.
Oh,
Like not the fat kid, but
McLovin?
like not McLovin, the other kid. Like
Oh,
the kid,
yeah.
yeah, the kid
Yeah.
that like the kid that like sings These Eyes.
But a much more handsome version in case Wyatt's listening.
I love
Wyatt,
that
we
scene.
love you,
Michael
man.
Cera.
But a much cooler
Michael
version.
Cera.
These
Yeah.
eyes.
Nice.
You're not leaving until you sing.
Awesome. So before we went to break, we were kind of talking about the construction of this roster. So Chuck Fletcher has painted himself into a corner, and the reason he's painted himself into a corner is because he's put all of his eggs into this veteran basket.
And I don't know if you. I mean, painting the corner is kind of an aggressive statement. I don't think he's.
Is it?
There's enough cap room and there's enough dollars to be spread around for what we need to have them be spread around, considering the amount of money that we're shedding. I mean, don't forget we're shedding Brodziak, we're shedding Harding. There's contracts that are falling off. So don't. And the cap is going up a little bit. So I don't think we're painted into a corner. I think we have a very solid roster. But to your point earlier, I'll quote Herb Brooks. I mean, it's not about the best players, it's about the right players. And I don't know if we have all the right players for the dynamic that we're trying to bring.
I think you just butchered that quote a little bit, but
Whoa.
I don't think so. I'm
not looking for the
Patrick,
best players.
he is
I'm looking
really
for the right
hungry. If
ones.
you could not question him right
I think
now.
actually he said that to his assistant coach, and he said, "I'm not looking for the best players. I'm looking for the right players."
Whoa.
And
Yeah,
if you want me
you're
to pull up the quote, I will. So
why
don't you
you're
go back to your computer and shut your mouth?
You're gonna pull it up with your Celine Dion songs, or like how does that? Is it like in the same folder?
I'm gonna play that again too.
The Wild Wednesday crew is just fighting today. Remember, like us on Facebook, our Facebook Wild Wednesday Facebook page, like Bennett's Chop and Rail House, like Alive and Social, and just feel the love right here in the studio.
You know, there really is a lot of love in the studio. There
We
really
love
is.
each other.
Patrick, we appreciate everything that you're doing this evening. You brought the Coors Lights. Hey, Scott, he brought the Coors Light.
And ultimately, we appreciate Patrick because he is the driving force behind the show, and he's been
Totally.
making
We're nothing
sure-
without you.
I'm the glue. We should let the fans into our little Facebook message thread here too, because we have a little fun during the week talking about the show.
I mean,
making
I'm
fun of
not
Canadians.
included.
Yeah.
No, like
You will be now. You will be now.
I show up today, and they're like, "Yeah, we've had a running dialogue about the show without you."
Yeah, Tony, we talk about it every single day, but then Scott forgot how to say my name in the beginning of the show. So,
Aggressive.
you know what? Moving forward,
has
we're
to do
cutting
with-
him out.
If I had my dry rub wings, I would have remembered everything.
I thought we had a good
I'm
thing
a
going, but we're
savant
cutting him
with the
out, and
wings.
it's me and you moving on.
No
okay? Just
doubt.
look
Hashtag
right here.
fun and pretty just changed
Oh my
names.
gosh!
The hell with you guys.
No,
Fun and
it
pretty.
didn't.
It's over. It's
So-
not over. I forgive you. You're hungry.
I'm gonna finish this beer and I'm gonna slam him out.
Awesome.
Just pull a gate and and just start fighting everyone.
Yeah, no doubt. I love contention.
Like a mic drop.
I love hostility. I love podcasts should have hostility. There should just be a contentious argument taking place. Otherwise, why would you listen?
Dude, all you got to do is not bring me Chardonnay and not
Those are
feed
some
him
of our
before
best
the show,
shows.
and we're good to
know.
go.
Some of our best shows throughout the year were when we did have adversarial approaches to the situation.
I'm very antagonistic too. I savaged Scott for saying that Devin Dubnyk was a savior, and then this
I
guy,
remember.
and then this guy
he was
rattles
the
off.
savior.
That's the
Okay,
best.
all right. That was, I mean, that was a 50-50 call.
I
there,
gotta
to be
pull the
honest.
audio
At
for
that
that.
point, anybody.
No, it wasn't.
Anybody could have been our savior.
No, it wasn't. Because
Anything was better than what we had. You did not know that it
told-
was going to turn around
Lord
like that.
Schweitz
I told you,
bequeathed it.
I told you all we had to do.
We will not call him Lord
was we
Schweitz.
had to basically get a goaltender and it would be fixed.
But
That's
Tony,
what would happen.
Tony was fired up that day.
got
He
it
was
right. You got
fire
it.
Yo,
Okay.
fire Fletcher.
You got it
know,
right.
the
Okay,
savior.
but I'm sorry. Wasn't, let's say, 75% of the state saying get a goaltender and we'll be better? I mean, wasn't everybody saying that? You can't say like,
Oh, no. I think the majority of people were thinking that it was beyond that. It was like there was multiple things broken and we needed to get rid of the coach. We needed to get rid of the GM. I mean, yourself included.
Yeah.
and how can you say fire Fletch?
And I don't think I was wrong.
It was like a clean.
You still
sweep
don't think
across
you
the
were
board.
wrong?
No, I don't think I was wrong at all. I mean, it's great that Devin Dubnyk showed up here, and Devin Dubnyk ended up being the savior, so I can give him credit on that. But if this team misses the playoffs and you spend all of this money and you're tied into these veterans, and these are veterans, mind you, that I think you are painted into a corner on because they've 3 years in a row not shown up for the playoffs. And all of these veterans who are
Not all of them.
all of them. All of them.
You don't think Parisi?
Yeah,
Parisi's
not
the only one.
Parisi.
Parisi's the only one.
I'd say be careful
Aren't
what you
a
do with that.
Bennett guy?
But I am a Bennett guy, and what he do? He disappeared, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that sucked. And you know what? I like him too, and I like the like not so much the points that he gets, but the offense that he brings to everybody else around him.
Yeah.
But that sucked, man. I can't pay you $6.5 million a year, and you just completely disappear.
And Vanek has this weird aloof attitude too, which just infuriates
European.
people. Well,
It's head of a European.
yeah, because he's from Austria, so he's not America. He's not like the passionate, like, I'm taking my shirt off and we're gonna fight.
I'm
bro.
going to say, I'm going to give some love back to your homeland, because the Canadians, man, they get fired up about playoffs.
Sure.
The Canadians and the Americans love and they thrive on the playoffs, where sometimes Europeans are like, I don't give a shit.
Sure.
I don't know if
But
that's totally true. A lot of times the
Not all-
Europeans,
not
a lot
all-
of times the
not all.
Europeans don't play all freaking year, and then the playoffs come around, they turn it on. The last 2 months of the season.
Marian Gaborik wins the cup with LA, and he's the best player in the playoffs. And he was such a fucking piece.
There's
of
plenty of them that
dog
don't
shit.
play November, December. They could care less, and then come
He's like-
January, they start to warm
A lot of
up.
them are like the Randy Moss of hockey. It's like, I'm going to show up when I want to. Like,
Sure.
that's it. That's how it's going to be.
They're just mooning people left and right.
I mean,
But
probably not, but
here's what I'm saying though.
Running
And-
over
and-
traffic.
with their skills.
Zach Parise,
Nice.
Zach Parise always going to show up, but Zach Parise is limited. Zach Parise is not a top end elite guy. He's a guy that works his ass off.
Parise is like a talented Rudy. I mean, he's
Yeah,
like.
yes.
I mean, if
A
you could
talented
put
Rudy.
his heart
Yes.
in the rest of those jackasses' bodies.
Yes.
I mean, you'd have a fucking elite hockey team,
Yes.
but the rest of these asshats don't give a shit, and that's
Yes.
the problem.
And-
if they don't give a shit, they're not playing like they give a shit, and that's the thing. We have so much fucking skill.
I don't
if
think
they
you say
put-
that about
if they put
Suter.
anything in that-
I do think Suter
No,
gives a
He
shit.
played like dog shit in that
That
last series.
does not mean he does not give a shit.
I
That means he
agree
played
with
like
that.
dog shit.
I went out on Twitter and I said basically, I mean, we need to come up with a new series, basically,
You told me this, and it
becoming a
pissed me
wild
off.
liability.
Nice.
I mean, that was it. I mean, he
And
was
that made me mad. I
awful.
do. Yes, he was awful. He had a shit.
Well, then
series.
you need to have-
He
you need to have
sucked.
enough-
Honestly, he was a large part why we lost that series.
Enough self-awareness to say, hey,
Good.
you know what? Maybe I'm playing too many minutes.
Good.
Maybe I need to step back a little bit. Maybe I need to like realize that I don't need to play the power play because there's other people that are better, and I'm going to be a team player, and there's better people that play for the team.
Or maybe there needs to be a coach in charge of that shit. And when you're out there, and
Not
you're,
only that, but if you think he's the one dictating, then you go to your coach that you are dictating your time to, and you say, hey, I was wrong. I don't need to be on the first PP. You need to put Dumb on there. Or you need to put somebody else in there
Sure.
instead of me, because there's other people that can play better than I can.
And
But
if you're-
when nobody addresses that power play issue, I mean,
Yes.
the second half of the season when we were so good, we were so good,
but
the
you
best
can't have
team in the
you can't have
NHL.
you can't have it both ways, though. You can have it both ways if you say the players are dictating it and Yo is just kowtowing to the veterans. But if the players like realize there's something wrong, they need to step up and say,
That's what I'm saying. Nobody addressed it. Like we all just, or not us. We addressed it. We're like, what the hell is going on? And we're the best team in the NHL for the second half of the season, right? And the only thing that you're looking at these stats, the only thing that you're seeing is this power play problem. You are not going to the finals with that issue. You're
and they
not.
laughed about it, and they fucking
And they
laughed about it.
literally were just like, well, we're the best team in
We're
the
winning.
NHL.
We're
We're the
winning.
best right now.
We're winning.
We're winning. And we were winning. But come playoff time, that's going to bite you in the ass. There's no way that you're going to get through with that.
And I don't disagree with you, right? If you've given Ryan Suter the power to take himself on and off the ice, if you've given him that much responsibility as a leader, and if you've empowered him that much, then Mike Yo's created the situation, so then Ryan Suter has to take action. But if Mike Yo has empowered him to do this, and Mike Yo is practicing avoidance, which is Yo knows best mentality, which happens a ton, right?
you should trademark that shit.
Then fucking Chuck Fletcher or fucking Craig Leopold. Somebody needs to come down from on high and be like, what are we doing?
I
Because-
don't even think it's that high. If it's honestly that big of a problem, you know who would say something?
Parisi.
Correct.
But that's his guy, though. But here's what I'm saying.
Look at Patrick with the shout out. I like that.
Because you know why? Because he has enough heart that the whole team goes above and beyond any individual. I don't care if it's his best friend or anybody.
Yeah.
That guy plays with so much damn heart. It doesn't matter who you are. He's going to basically make it happen.
Interesting.
And
I've never been in the room, though.
And if he does,
I don't know if he would call out
I would
Suter.
honestly think if it's something that he sees the glaring thing, pull him aside like, What are you doing?
Would he call out Koivu? Because a lot of people tap dance around Koivu too. I mean, this is 3 years in a row. Now 3 years in a row.
Now we're going on the rabbit hole of the whole captain thing because who's the captain
and who's stepping on whose toes?
You know what? Beyond the captain thing, just being honest about it.
And
right?
I don't think it's just the letter on the shirt.
3 years in a row that Mikko Koivu has not produced in the playoffs, and if you look at it, right, nobody.
This is 3 years in a row, with the exception of the second half of the season. He's just not produced. I mean, he just has not been what he should be until we saw this season. Like, oh shit.
Yes,
that's the Koivu that we want to see until the playoffs started, and then he disappeared.
And then that's why I wonder. I completely respect and I love the fact that Parise will destroy himself. He'll destroy his teammates. I think that he goes out there, he works his ass off, so you can never call into question his effort, his passion, his ability to create opportunity and influence the games. But I wonder if he's going to go to Mikko Koivu and be like, hey, what the fuck? If he's going to go to Ryan Suter and be like, maybe you need to play less.
You hope that in the exit interviews that something is said, because if he doesn't do it and he maybe calls out the coach or the GM and says, this is what needs to be fixed. And we touched on this a little bit before of at what point is he going to start making some demands? Yeah. And I think it was why can't I think of his name? He was from Hockey Buzz. You had him on the show a couple weeks ago.
Oh, Brad Ratkin.
Yeah. Brad's like, I think at some point he's going to start making demands.
Yes.
And I have no doubt, because if he plays with that level of passion,
yes,
as his dad did, as it's all he knows,
yes,
at some point he's going to start making, like, there's shots across the bow that are going to happen to either Fletcher, Yo, in the locker room, somebody, and I think he has to probably play it. He has a little Minnesotan in him. He has a little, probably like that passive-aggressive, maybe a little bit, but doing it the right way to not just like blow up the locker room like, hey, you're a piece of shit, and you're playing too much, and you're doing this, and before you know, like, everybody's like, whoa, Zach, let's pump the brakes. Like, where did this all come from? Because it all built up inside of him, and he didn't, like, release it.
Sure.
But I think if you're the true leader of the team, which he is, there's nobody in this state that's going to argue it. Eventually, you have to start making those comments.
I think you're misinterpreting Suter, though. I mean, I know he had a shit postseason, and he played too many minutes, and maybe he's dictating some stuff that he shouldn't be dictating, but I think all that happens because he has just as big of a heart, because he cares just as much, and it's easier to look at Parise and say, you have the biggest heart, because you're playing fucking awesome. You lead our team. You're our guy.
But at some point,
Suter never has any. I don't think it's any ill feelings, and it's always meant to be the best. And he means to do the best, and he just wants to be the guy that he was last year.
So did Rudy.
Then you're not having enough awareness of yourself to realize that you're not the guy that should be on the PP1. I mean, there's a guy that has a shot that can go through the boards and can actually hit the net, as opposed to a forward that is covering the other point that A, can't hit the net, B, doesn't have a shot, and C, can't hold the line for shit. So maybe he's not the guy that holds the other point. And B, maybe there's another defenseman, i.e. Scandella, i.e. Spurgeon, that play better and could quarterback just as good as Suter can. So maybe you realize, like, I'm not the guy that should be out on the power play because I play other roles, so I need to be that guy and say, I need to step back.
And I think I agree with both of you on different points. So 100% Ryan Suter's like top 10, top 5 talented with regard to the things that he's good at doing on the ice. And a lot of that has to do...
It's a tough pill to swallow to realize that.
A lot of that has to...
It's the hardest pill to swallow.
A lot of that has to do with the way that he plays the game. And a lot of people that don't understand how good Koivu is at hockey don't understand that he's eliminating opportunity all the time. He does so many good things. One of the things that he's never going to be is like a top-end offensive defenseman. So his power play minutes should be something different. So he should be sheltering a guy like Matthew Dumba. He should be providing opportunity. If he is going to play top power play, then he has to be the guy that's going to shade back and make sure that we don't get burned by an opposing penalty kill. But he's not going to be a main handler of the puck. But to Sarah's point, I completely believe that the reason he plays so many minutes is that he does care and he is passionate. And I think that, you know, he tends to overextend himself because he wants to be on the ice. He wants to make sure that he's the guy that that eliminates the rush, that he eliminates the scoring opportunity of a talented roster like Chicago, and it just didn't happen this series.
I also think that, hockey's a business. At the end of the day, it's a business, and your feelings and whatever, that shit doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, he's had some personal shit going on, and I think that can either take you one way or the other. And Zach and Ryan both lost their dads, and I think it took Zach one way, and it took Ryan the other way, and it just kind of hasn't played out the way that he's wanted to. It's hard to be that person when you have this shit going on in your head, and hockey's such a mental game too. I feel for the guy, and I think that he has just as big of a heart as Zach. I think he could be just as great, and he had a shit year.
And there's really no veteran presence in that blue line group. I mean, these are all guys like Jared Spurgeon's the oldest one out of the bunch, and I mean he's 24 and he looks like he's 14. I mean Jonas Brodin is 21 years old. Matthew Dumba's 20 years old. Marco Scandella, who has put together back-to-back really great seasons. He doesn't have the clout. There's no clout. I mean, you had Keith Ballard in there, but I mean, he's a guy looking to
Poor guy.
get his career back.
I truthfully think they're going to bring Leopold back next year.
I think Leopold will come back too, and
because you're going to get Leopold so cheap. He wants to be here. He's told the entire world he wants to be here,
and he fits because he's a guy that understands that he probably shouldn't be playing every night, and he should be a locker room guy, and he should be a guy to help the younger defensemen learn more about the game and more about this is a career.
We got half of our like coaching staff and player development as former players. I mean that's like the path. I mean you take it from, and I honestly, I mean I might be biased because I really like Wes Walz, but I think the Wild has done themselves a giant disservice with not putting them on the payroll, like putting him in some sort of mix.
You watch Wes Walz on FSN, and it's like you just see the emotion in his eyes. Whether it's win or lose, he looks like he's going to cry. It doesn't matter if he won or he lost; he's going to cry about it.
You know what's so interesting?
There's so many people that he is better than that the Wild.
I really like him a lot.
Conspiracy theory though, Wes Walz is not going to be a company guy. He's going to say the shit that's on his chest. That's why he was a leader. That's why he went from being like a bottom of the roster guy coming to a franchise like the Minnesota Wild and becoming the top center, becoming just a beloved guy, because he is, he's not Minnesota nice. He's not one of us. He fucking hits it head on. He doesn't go safe.
Oh, he's so emotional though too. I mean, you just see it in his eyes how much he has the passion for the game and the passion for the Wild too. The way that he had his career,
And even on FSN, it gets him into trouble. He's had to make nice or apologize or rein it in a little bit because he's called into question.
As a single tear drips down his cheek. I love it. I love that guy.
Well, and that's the thing is even though he did go to Tampa Bay, under Melrose,
sure,
he made his way back here because that's where he decided that this is a good place to set his roots. He's got his kids in school. He wants to be here.
As a TV guy, an ambassador of the organization, but not somebody that's in there day to day influencing what's going on with
that's
the
the kind of guy.
team.
That's the kind of guy, if they had him in the locker room, that's the kind of guy that would make a difference.
Sure.
I mean, he's the kind of guy that would, as an assistant coach, would pull a flip over the table thing and be like, what the hell are you doing? Like this is the playoffs and you guys are playing like shit. Can you get your stuff together? And maybe it would get a reaction, maybe it wouldn't. But
where was that in the Blackhawks series? How come nothing could shake them? You went in there I just want somebody to go in there and
we had one period and we had a couple minutes in the final game.
We had a couple minutes.
Are we going to even talk about the Stanley Cup, or are we just done with it?
No, I mean,
we hate
fuck
the Blackhawks.
Well, we're going to do.
Do you want to take a break?
We're going to take
and
a
then
break.
We'll come back and we'll talk about the Cup. I
gonna
told you I need a therapy session. I am my head is fucked up from this Blackhawks bullshit. Okay.
I like it.
Patrick bought you a jersey.
I bought you a Blackhawks jersey.
Dude, I swear to God,
I borrowed it
I
from
will.
CJ, actually. I was going to ask
What a
CJ if I could
jerk.
borrow a jersey.
She's going to break the Coors Light bottle and
swear
shank
to
you
God.
prison style.
Well, Sarah, before we go to break, why don't you tell us how great Bennett's Chop and Rail is?
Oh, man, I love that place. I've only been out there a couple times. I was totally shocked by their food. I couldn't believe that chopped salad, the steak, phenomenal, loved it. Joe, what a hell of a guy, huh? Just a great host.
Gets you to come across the river, right?
Dude, not much gets me to go across the river, I'll tell you that. And I would definitely recommend it to anybody that I know.
Join longtime radio personality and producer Kelly Guest and friend, CEO of Fantasy Gifts, Colleen Bertino, as they talk about all things sex, men, women. Lend them your ears and learn everything you wanted to know about sex and intimacy. Only here on the Alive and Social Network.
Reach for this one.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back online.
Just turn it on, kind of. That took a very PG direction.
Along comes this hit show.
I'm constantly burping on stage.
Hey, you heard about Madonna, right?
Twin Cities hit show with Rusty, Courtney, and Chuck.
Had she fallen to the ground and her eyes rolled into the back of her head, what would you, Tim Mahoney, have done?
I would have tried to make out with her.
Nice.
Get in line.
The Twin Cities hit show with Rusty, Courtney, and Chuck airs live daily, 9:30 to 10:30 on the Alive and Social Network.
Ever swallowed a bug or choke like Courtney on stage?
Yeah.
I meant to do this.
The term foodie can sometimes come across as a tickle pretentious. BT and Lydia are here to demystify the term and reclaim it for the sake of good food. Their weekly podcast brings in fellow foodies and culture creators from the Twin Cities to talk about all things food. Find this duo only on the Alive and Social Network.
And we are back from our final break, and probably good we had a break. We were getting a little heated there for a while, talking about some stuff that obviously we all care about. But I think it's good. I think it's good to be able to flare out a little emotion about the season. And I know Sarah was hoping for a little bit of a therapy session, considering now the much hated Chicago Blackhawks are now in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm sure. And I think that a lot of people are divided on this, thinking that like, oh well, they're in the playoffs
because they beat us. No,
so they beat us, so we should be happy like they beat us, and now they're in the playoffs. Like, I mean, I think that if we would have played to the level that we could have played, that this wouldn't even be an issue.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Did you guys see the goal?
Not interested.
Did you guys see?
Was that like a rhetorical question?
Yeah. Did you guys see the goal that?
Did you hear me and Shannon last week? It was amazing.
It was amazing. But
the show went great.
It went great. It was so awesome. But did you guys see that goal that Taves scored from behind the red line there in Game 6?
No. I haven't watched.
Oh my God! It was the most amazing thing I've ever
seen
watched
any hockey
in my entire life.
Is that when he hurt his finger?
I don't know when he hurt.
You know
his
who
finger,
the last person I want to talk about is? Captain fucking America. Okay, that's the last person I want to talk about.
Yeah. Well,
I hate that guy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to do.
Patrick
really,
still wants to talk about it. He's decided.
I feel kind of like conflicted a little bit because I'm not going to root for the stupid Tampa Bay Lightning, which are telling fans what jersey they can wear to the
honestly,
game. And
I have
what
to tell you,
credit card they can buy.
I'm talking over you right now because if you don't shut up, I'm going to open the window and I'm literally going to throw you out. Okay.
Wow. Aggressive.
The new air conditioner's in there.
Is my face getting red? Is my face getting red? Because I'm getting really mad.
You can throw him out that window right there.
Hey,
that was my plan.
Make sure we pull his shirt over his head. That would be very hockey-centric.
Punch me a few times, Happy Gilmore
okay,
style.
I'm sorry. You cannot.
I'm just looking at the other half of this
God, I
bottle.
hate that Bob Barker.
You cannot root for the fucking Blackhawks. Are you going to root for the Packers, too?
I'm not.
The next time the Packers are in the Super Bowl, you're going to root for them?
Yes.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers, love that guy.
He'll set up, it'll be fantasy football ladies show, and it'll be in a Wisconsin bar.
And here's me.
And he's going to be wearing...
Red face, angry.
He's going to be wearing like an Antonio Freeman jersey. What a jerk.
We need a name.
On-air production meeting, we do need a name.
I had a good name.
I am not done with my therapy session
I like my the XXX Fantasy Football Forum.
No,
why chromosomes need not apply.
I like the Fantasy Football Chickcast podcast
because it's three women, so XXX and there's no Y chromosomes.
Oh, so we're just gonna have two guys tell a lady about her show about women talking about fantasy football. What a bunch of jerks!
You guys are such assholes. This is the exact reason why I need my own show, and you guys can all be guests. And then Patrick.
I'm not going to be a guest.
You're not
producing
invited.
that
I
thing.
don't even know if I can let you
I'm
produce
putting that
it
thing
anymore,
together.
to be honest.
Awesome.
This Blackhawks talk? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I need to take a deep breath.
No, I want to just dump on the Blackhawks. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Okay.
Oh, because you're rooting for them because you don't like Tampa Bay.
Oh, because I'm rooting
Stop
for
bringing
them.
that
No.
up.
I love the fact that I heard that you were going to go out and buy like a Blackhawks like shirt or jersey.
He's so we have a mutual friend
I
on
just said it to
Facebook,
piss
and it
Sarah
literally
off.
no, he didn't. It pops up in my newsfeed and it says Patrick Disher commented on this. It just pops up, and it says
Awesome.
Patrick
Naturally.
says in this comment, "I'm going to have to go out and buy a Blackhawks jersey," and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
You're
and
that guy.
I go in our group message right away and I'm like, Patrick's buying a Blackhawks jersey?
Awesome.
Like, blasphemy, bro.
I
Blasphemy.
know. I mostly it's just done
I love
to
that
rile
you use
up.
the word bro so much. Like,
Yeah.
that's really something nice.
I like it a lot.
Bro.
We should just cold call Chris Emma right
ooh.
now and see what they're
If
doing.
looks could kill, that was good. You got shot one.
You know what? I'm really angry right now. You were really angry earlier. Now you guys brought up the Blackhawks. Okay. Things I need to get off my chest.
The beers
I just,
helped.
Crawford's
oh my
a
God, yeah.
stud.
It's probably seriously, Patrick, I swear to God. Okay, yes, he is a stud. But he lost his mind earlier this season. You see that he's got gaps. We unfortunately gave it back to him.
I honestly think if they win the Stanley Cup, they can only thank us. That's it.
And they won't.
That is
They
not
won't,
true.
but I'm saying that's
They
the
can-
only reason
Both
they
of those
got
statements are not true.
they got their confidence back is because of us. That's it.
Yeah, because we rolled over and
They rolled out of that Nashville series suspect.
You want to bag on the Blackhawks, but you think they're going to win the cup?
Yeah,
I fucking hate the Blackhawks.
The only reason
And
that they were the
I am dreaming and praying for a miracle. I mean, give me a Tyler Johnson jersey right now, and I'll wear it every day for the next year.
Where do you buy those?
Chris.
Do they have those anywhere?
Amazon.
Definitely not anywhere in Minnesota.
Just in Fairweatherville?
Just in
Like,
Tampa,
what the
yeah.
fuck are we talking about?
Amazon.com.
This is the guy that was nobody. I knew because I'm a geek,
Dude,
but nobody knew
he
Tyler
skated for the
Johnson.
Wild.
I know.
Oh,
You know for a fact, if we would have got him, I'd probably have his jersey hanging in my closet right now.
I love it how I'm not allowed to root for the Blackhawks, but Sarah, a Canadian or a Maple Leafs fan, is totally allowed to root for the Canadians.
Okay, first of all,
she's a
I don't root
transplant.
for the Canadians. I don't even know what you're talking about. I root for the
He
Maple
mentioned
Leafs
that
and the
so
Wild.
many times on Wednesday.
It's the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Canadians are two totally different things.
No, you said you were pulling for the Montreal, weren't you, in that series?
And if you would have actually listened to the show, I said that it was completely
fired.
shocking,
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
and it was solely due to PK.
So I love
And
PK
Carey Price.
too.
And-
PK
Oh,
Savant.
I heard that show and I was like, no matter what, I fuck with PK because PK gets shit on in Montreal and he is.
I love
awesome.
PK.
I like him.
too.
He can also be a jerk, but he's a jerk when you're rooting against him, and some of the best players are, right?
Well, you got to have a little fire. You can't just be,
Yeah. Jonathan Taves, Duncan Keith. I mean, they're the best players.
Okay, all right. Let's talk. Okay, let's talk about this. I'm ready.
Turds.
Let's throw it out.
So they win. If they win,
Let's
they
shoot
hopefully don't.
ourselves.
We're playing for a miracle, right? Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. If they do win, are they a dynasty?
100%.
I don't even know if they win. It doesn't matter who wins. I mean, when did Tampa Bay only won the cup? Like how many years ago? I
Five?
No. I
Within
mean,
10?
it has to be the same group. It has to be the same.
I'm just
core
saying
group.
about teams. I mean, hell, when you have a team like Tampa Bay who has 2 cups potentially in a period of 10 years,
But it's two different.
it's unheard of.
It's two different foundations. It's two
No,
different
Tampa
rosters.
Bay is definitely not. No, I
don't
think
care about people.
I don't think
I'm
that's
just
true. I think a
talking about
dynasty. A dynasty is core players, but you still have turnover, and it's over a long period of time.
Yeah. You're using dynasty word. I'm using just the fact of how big of a travesty it is that I think you use your word.
That your veterans
Minnesota
disappear in the
has no
playoffs.
cups, and you're talking about Tampa Bay potentially have 2.
Yeah, but
that's
you know
bullshit.
why? You know why? Because your veterans disappear in the playoffs, and you're painted into the corner because they're not.
And the unfortunate
show up when they're
situation
supposed to.
is in Chicago.
It's a
Those
bigger-
guys didn't show up all year.
It's a bigger turd
And now
than
come
last week's
playoffs,
show.
here comes Captain America and his best friend Patrick Kane. Now they're on the same line.
I know.
They're on the same fucking line.
And here's the other point. I think
Oh, no.
100% it will be a dynasty, and it's because these guys are like 2 or 3 years younger. They're not even 30. Taves and Kane, they're not even 30
They're
yet.
out of money.
they
though.
are
They're out of
30.
money.
Well,
they're out of money.
Someone's got to go. Someone's moving.
They're gonna
for
have no
sure.
money.
But
They've got the big 7. I'd
You're
say
all
of those
foolish
7,
if you
they're
think
going to
they're
have
gonna
5
continue
next
But
year.
they have kids. You know what? And they might even get Mike Riley too. How much is it going to hurt your feelings when Mike Riley signs there?
Fuck that. That is bullshit.
I'm saying when he signs there and he plays the role that Letty did, when they have to dump either Seabrook or they have to dump somebody, it'll be Aduya.
Letty's got to be pissed.
Somebody's got to go military style and hit him with like the soap in the sock.
Letty was a healthy scratch, and then he reemerges in New York. I mean, anybody that plays with Jonathan Tavares is going to put up points, and he made amazing
You know he was
money.
getting death threats after that?
I know.
I actually
He's
went
got amazing money off
I
that
went
contract.
to high school with his uncle, but really they're the same age because like his uncle's parents are kind of old, so they're kind of like cousin age.
Just an update. Tampa Bay up 1-0
Oh,
in game
dude, let's get the fucking TV on.
I don't know about that. Looks like the mount is the wrong size.
Nice.
Cable shut up. All right, so dynasty or not, let's talk. All right,
Yes.
so we're going in Tampa Bay, Chicago. Pretty similar styles of play. They're both fast. I mean, you're looking at a team, I believe in Chicago has been here so many times. They've got the upper edge because they've been here so many times. Can they be more calmer? Can they be more patient? Can they deal with the media craziness when you've got all these young guys in Tampa?
I mean, Chicago's clutch. I mean, Chicago's the
Perfect
definition.
word.
They're the definition of clutch.
Yeah.
I would say that the Kings are clutch too, even though they shit the bed and they didn't do nothing this year.
Didn't even make the playoffs.
But that's why these teams win multiple cups within 5 years. They win it with the same group. I mean, I think that I will never root for Chicago. Ever. I'm never going to root for St. Louis.
Never.
I'm never going to root for Colorado. I'm never going to root for a team in our division.
Obviously not. I'm never going to root for the Packers or the Lions, you know.
Can you say Winnipeg? Are you never going to root for Winnipeg, or do you fall victim to the cutesy story that they finally got their team back? And because I'll never root for Winnipeg. I'm never going to do it. I won't ever do it.
I was rooting for Winnipeg.
Yeah, and see, and that's the one they get an exception, and I don't disagree with people, right? Because I like the
But
little
what's
edges
it? But
that-
I mean, but then you're also looking at it and you're like, I definitely don't want to play Anaheim.
No,
So
Anaheim
I want Winnipeg to win, so that when we win, we play them, and Anaheim's out.
I don't know why you have it so loud. It should not be loud.
Now it's a distraction.
We can watch it on mute.
Now it's a distraction. Now we're going to be watching the show and not talking
Silence for
about
And watching Tampa Bay score goals and beat them, because Tampa Bay's a team I'll always root for. One, because I'm a prospects guy, and I love that they have all these young players that I know about that nobody else does. The Victor Hedmans of the world, the Kucherov, JT Brown. Even I was at prospect camp because I'm a prospect geek, and I geek out over the draft, which I'm so excited about the Bennett's draft show coming up June 26th. But
you guys know we have a live
we'll all
band
be there.
playing, right? A live band starting at 10.
Is there
pig.
food or is there the pig roast? Right? I didn't want to say that in case it wasn't happening, but
Yeah,
Scott threw it
I mean,
out there.
there's been a couple
Potential.
little
Okay, there's going to be
changes.
some awesome food.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's
what
going to
you
be a
wanna
goat
talk
roast.
about-
It's going to be a goat roast. We had to scale down. We had to scale down to a goat roast.
We're going to be roasting Scott if he doesn't start being nicer
no
to us.
doubt.
You want to talk about
You just
draft?
gave us silent
How about
treatment. You just
nothing?
went silent treatment. You can't go silent treatment
He's
on a
pretty
podcast.
excited about Ted
You're going to
too.
put me on a
Okay?
spit? What the fuck?
I'll take it.
You forgot my name, bro. You're going on a
Tony,
spit.
arrest your ass, bro.
Tony will arrest your ass.
Bro.
Brah.
Tony would never arrest me. We're homies now, and he's
Bro.
been a lot nicer to me tonight. Okay,
How
you want to
broke
talk about
up
a draft?
Bro and homie so far.
Let's talk.
That's
You want to talk
happening.
about a draft? Talk about Tampa Bay.
Keep a list.
I know.
I mean, that's how they're in the cup right now. Is that
Stamkos.
2011 drafts? Stamkos. How about who was it? Kucherov. They got Kucherov, Palat, all those guys. Was
Yes.
it Palat that they got in the 7th round?
Yes, Palat.
Well,
is a.
I'm sorry. When you got somebody like their general manager that can call up the Tyler Johnsons of the world and say, hey, I don't know if you know who I am or
I
not.
mean, the man is a hockey
I'm
god.
going to be a Hall of Famer, but maybe you should come play for my squad.
Wow, but it came out today, and Tyler Johnson talked about it at Media Day, and what he said was, I was in camp with the Wild. They liked me a lot, but they had just drafted Jason Zucker, Mikael Granlund.
The first time.
And they had hometown guy Eric Howla. So then
that's the first time.
When Tampa Bay calls me, and they have Tom Curvers, who is a Minnesota guy, that knows about who's in the Minnesota camps and they offer me an opportunity, there's no waiting line in Tampa Bay because they were brutal. And a lot of that team came from trading away that previous group that had been in the Stanley Cup when Yzerman takes over. And granted, I totally agree with you that Yzerman is a driving force. I mean, look what he's done for Hockey Canada.
But just look at that draft. I mean, that draft was phenomenal. You can talk about Yzerman all day. Look at that draft.
And we lost
they are
out.
were they are today because of that 2011 draft.
The first time we lost out because we knew he was on the radar, and then we kind of like sat on him, let him marinate a little bit. Then he got hurt. Then he kind of fell off the radar a little bit. And when he came back, the second time, it was after his like breakout year, and of course everybody he was the secret's out of the box.
Sure,
everybody wanted him.
Well, and that's what they said too.
So it doesn't matter if we want him or not. Like everybody wants him, and everybody like is putting their offers in. And we don't have somebody to leverage like the Yzerman call.
And he's going to go where there's opportunity. And that's completely right. He gets hurt at camp. They don't sign him that year. Next year, he has, the world is his oyster, kind of, in the world of, like, undrafted free agents.
100-point season.
And guess what? That's going to happen again with Mike Riley. I mean, Mike Riley
will come here.
He can pick a spot. I really hope he does. And
he's a hometown boy.
I really hope he does.
I believe he's coming here.
That, where there's more opportunity in Chicago next year, where they have Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews.
I don't want to say you're right, but you're kind of right.
No, I don't agree.
They have $10 million cap hits. You have to move one of Sharp or Hossa. You're not going to move Hossa. He
has a no move clause.
His dad owns a small share of the Wild. He's coming here. I know it. He's a hometown boy. He's got the love. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's coming here.
Okay, so then let me forward this idea to you then. If he's locked in for the Minnesota Wild, guess who goes? Jared Spurgeon. Because if you have Mike Riley to backfill, that means that you also have Gustav Olsson in
they'll leave him in
Des Moines
Iowa
with the Baby Wild, and Mike Riley's going to go play there and be paired with them. Then you also have the Dylan Labe kid, and then you have Christian Folin, who's already in the pros. He's not going back to Iowa. He's a restricted free agent. You got to come up with money for him. You already have
not a ton of money,
which I think he's good. I like him. I mean, let's not discount him because I like him.
I think his size and skill combination, he should have been in the lineup. And I thought it was a flaw of Yo to continue to parade out there Nate Prosser instead of him. If you're going to go Leopold and you go Leopold Dumba angle with the leadership, that's fine. But if you put Prosser in there over Folin, you're defaulting to Yo knows best. And there's multiple examples of that all over the roster. When Charlie Coyle, who you've tried to make into a center all year long, because maybe he's not a 20-goal scorer. Maybe he's not going to develop into this power forward that
he played damn good in the playoffs.
We saw, though. You see flashes of it.
Damn good in the playoffs.
But the reason that he's playing center is because you want a guy that has the size and skill to carry the puck, to play in both ends, and to be the guy to kind of balance out Granlund's lack of size and lack of ability to factor in against these big Western Conference teams. When Charlie Coyle gets yanked from the center spot and put back on the wing when it matters, then that tells me that you're not sold on him being a center, and that's why they have such a dramatic hole in between Koivu, in between Granlund, and that comes from Yo waffling. When it comes down to it, he waffles, man.
Okay,
I wonder what happened though. I'm just say one quick thing. If we could somehow get him to play a little more aggressively. I mean, if Charlie Coyle to play a little more aggressively,
a la angry Mikko Koivu,
a la like that. I mean,
man.
But if you could get him to play the way that he could play,
it's flawed, man.
But
he plays the way he does because that's the way he plays.
But he shows flashes of different ways, different ways that he can play. If he can do that on a consistent basis, you don't have this.
Let me ask you this though: if he could do it on a consistent basis, wouldn't he do it on a consistent basis?
I don't know.
Quit with the riddles.
I'm just being honest.
Bilbo Baggins?
I'm saying
I got a question, guys. I got a serious question.
I have a question. Shut up, Pat.
You're asking this guy to do it.
I don't think I've ever seen Lord of the Rings. What the hell is that reference?
No idea.
Finally, a movie you've never seen.
I geek on prospects, not troll movies.
Okay, here's my question.
Hobbits.
Shots fired.
We're talking about the Western Conference.
What's the shots fired? Is that just like a?
It's a Tony Dean catchphrase from Tony's Takes. Sarah, go.
Awesome.
Wow,
that was aggressive.
Okay,
have you been drinking Coors over there?
It's the Coors Lights.
He has.
Have you noticed how much happier Scott's gotten? By the way,
yeah,
I like it.
Anyways, we're talking about the Western Conference and the big bad Western Conference. What do we need next? It's inevitable that we will at some point meet the Blackhawks, hopefully, in the playoffs. I mean, not hopefully, but hopefully we make the playoffs. We it's inevitable that we meet them at some point. What do we need? Because they are our fucking kryptonite. What do we need to beat them?
A center. Don't we need a center? I'm not an expert. I'm not Tony Dean.
I love it.
For
He's
Hockey
just-
Buzz.
Patrick's just yelling random crap up.
There's a
own
circa
season
like
tickets
2
to the
weeks ago. I
Wild.
love it. He's back.
I'm not, a Canadian, but like this team needs a center. Koivu's not the center. Granlund, is like 142 pounds, soaking wet. Braziak's gone. What are we gonna do? We need a center.
Patrick's been doing his research. I like everything about that, man.
That was good.
Well, right? I mean, am I wrong?
And it was aggressive and authoritative, and I appreciate it.
And that's why you give up Spurgeon, and you probably give up Howla. Because
What do you think you're going to get for Spurgeon?
Probably a center.
We'll package Spurgeon and Backstrom, and we'll get
an
offer.
Now we have some.
Just kidding. Shots fired.
Yeah.
Well, for cap purposes, right? Depending on who you're
Scott
getting.
just throws his beer at Patrick's head.
Nice.
We're buying Backstrom out.
Depending on who you're getting for cap purposes, maybe you do need to include Backstrom in there in that package as the money to balance out a bigger trade. But if you're looking at what this team needs,
who's giving away a viable center for
Jared Spurgeon and Eric Howla?
Jared Spurgeon
and picks probably somebody.
No.
You're packaging Howla in there.
Let's back up.
Have to.
We talked about like 30-something-year-old porcelain goalie, not Howla. Like I said, you package Spurgeon with old goaltender.
No.
And for somebody.
Well,
and
then what do you
nobody's
get?
doing that.
You don't
do
get
you
anything.
think
Point
that
being,
we
yeah.
have in Howla? Do you think that we have what we thought we had?
They are what we thought they were.
I was just going to say that.
Denny
too.
Green bit.
Yeah,
I love
Denny
it.
Green.
I think that he came. I mean, the tale is that he came to camp fat. I mean, circa Setaguchi style, and then was in the doghouse from there on out. I mean, clearly he's shown that he has.
Okay, but that was for what? So
But
then you're in the
clearly-
doghouse for the entire season.
But he didn't get out of it, and that has been a tradition. If you get in the doghouse, sometimes you don't get out of it, like Zucker did.
Because you're an easy target in the Yo knows best philosophy when you take a run at
Why don't
Eric Howla.
Why don't I even do that?
and
Why do
Devin Setaguchi.
I just throw gas on the Yo knows best narrative.
But it happens. It's not one time. It's a reoccurring theme. It's easy to pick a fight with Eric Howla and never pull fucking Ryan Suter from the power play.
It's the Ron Gardenhire thing too. Exact same thing.
Yes.
You're never going to challenge more.
Delman Young. Yeah. I'm mad at that guy. Trade JJ Hardy.
Delman.
Never hold Joe Mauer accountable though. Bilateral leg
Mauer
weakness.
drinks wine coolers.
It's such a flawed narrative.
Now you're attacking the Minnesota baby Jesus.
It's such a flawed narrative.
Who,
You know
by the way, are on fire and super fun to watch right now.
Yeah,
and I was
except for today.
I swear to God,
except for
today.
today and yesterday actually.
And I watched today.
I watched last night.
And you guys know that the whole Twins run started with the Twins Tuesday crew
They pulled-
out at Floyd's Bar in Victoria.
Hey, maybe we'll have a guest appearance.
He is the master of the plug.
He's really good.
Should we
I'll
make
tell
a
you
guest
what,
appearance
I
on
swear to
Tuesday
God,
at Floyd's?
The Twins paid some voodoo witch doctor to take all of
it was Rusty
all of
Gatenby.
the stuff out of the Wild and put it into the Twins. I swear. I mean, as soon as the
Dude,
Twins
they're so fun
played
to watch
well,
right now.
the Wild didn't win another game.
Yep. And we were out there.
As soon as they posted that video to their friends across the river about making the playoffs
Yep, there
and
was
go
something-
wild and blobbity blobbed.
There was something in that they used to put
We
like
shit the bed and then they won 20
the-
games in May.
Like the movies used to do with the
20 games
popcorn
in May.
things.
20
and the
games
Coke.
in May.
Like people
First
like,
time-
oh, I want a Coke and a popcorn. Like they're all like, oh, we maybe should start playing shitty and then the Twins will play better.
You know, Rick Anderson's just such a great pitching coach, though. He's just a fucking genius. Gardy's such a great guy.
Pelfrey?
I mean, do you remember they made the playoffs so many times? I mean, he's such a great guy.
I loved Gardy.
It's unbelievable. Here's what I'm saying. If he's a great guy, then you make him a greeter at Walmart. You make him your grandpa.
Yeah, but we don't have
You
pitching.
want Gardy to be a greeter at fucking mall? That guy was a saint, okay?
Yeah, I ain't
when
going
he
to
would
Walmart.
come out on the
So
mountain,
what?
he would be super fired up and he would throw his hat down and he would stomp on
That
it.
was
Man, I loved
theatrics.
him.
That was all theatrics.
I loved Ron Gardner.
Zero
Me too. Sarah, I'm with ya.
It was time to go.
Zero killer instinct from his teams who shit the bed consistently.
It was time to go.
in the playoffs.
And you know
a la
what we got
Mike
now?
Yo. A la Mike Yo.
My
You
boy.
do take the shit to bed from me because that's my bit. Like I've said that since God was a boy.
No,
Did
Tony.
I say it?
I didn't read that
It was
book.
our hashtag.
I didn't read the book.
Well, I'm
You guys
saying
have all said shit to bed. Tony in his interviews, you guys.
I said shit to bed and Sarah loved it. I did, and I just trying to figure
because
out.
I used to say that too, and then it became our bit. That was our thing, but that was before you forgot my name, so we lost a thing.
Oh. Say it.
Shots
You can
fired.
say
I'm not,
yes.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say your name anymore. It's on purpose now.
It's not my bit. I didn't create it. You didn't create shit the bed. You didn't invent that.
Yeah, you're not the first person.
I'm
to
just
say
saying
that.
at the table, not me. Like in general, like I was like
You said Jesus. You mentioned God.
I think you were Jesus.
You mentioned
were
biblical
baby
times
Jesus.
when you
just
created
at the
that.
table, not in general, but out of the three of us, who said it first?
I just got to say, you guys, this is
Shannon
nice
did.
to have
Done with
everyone
his
back.
Shannon did.
Oh,
Done with
yeah,
it.
Shannon. Let's
Shannon.
throw her under the bus
Poor
here.
Shannon, you guys.
Shannon is the shit in the
It's
back.
nice to have the crew back together here. The Wild Wednesday crew, we're still missing a guy. We'll figure out, there was the cheers. We got to get a Scott, Sarah high five here right on
high
air.
five?
We do kill the high fives.
We definitely owe Shannon. Thank you for
it
contributing
is.
and showing up last week and filling in for us. We
Thank you,
are definitely
Shannon.
appreciative.
The
Definitely.
boys are all very sorry for anything they've said.
I hope that she can take the shenanigans that we're
Yeah.
dealing out, because if she can't, I already did it.
Yeah.
In fact, Shannon, I would like to invite you next week, and you can sit here and we'll all talk shit to each other to our faces.
Yeah,
No doubt.
exactly. I take more shit from anybody, from all you
That's
bastards.
true. I've told Pat to shut up about 10 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Scott's flipping him off right now.
Scott's put me off. We're running about 80 minutes here on the podcast. I think
Okay.
we've derailed a little bit.
Patrick was calling us from a payphone today because his phone is just unbelievable.
Okay, all right. Let's end Wild Wednesday. It's game one right now.
And tell your friends to listen because, for God's sake, we need to buy Patrick a car charger. I mean, jeez.
For the love of God.
Man is just
Or a
dragging.
window.
I don't get the 25 a week.
At least
you
a
know.
garbage bag with some tape.
Neither do I.
We'll get together and we'll just tape your window better. Is what
I
we've
have free
decided.
glass in my insurance too, and
We
I'm
used to
just
get
like
Coors
too
Light
lazy
and
to call.
chicken wings. This week we just got Coors Light.
We're on a budget.
I hope people will come out to Bennett's next week, and then definitely for the draft party. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get a whole crew of people. We're going to have many people. Also, Derek Felsk is going to be here from State of Hockey News, and he is a draft mecca for information and knowing
Shannon will be there,
all
too.
of these kids. Allie Baker, who writes for the Hockey Writers, is going to come out. And one of the things that I mentioned last week in my interview is we love having women talk about hockey, and especially we're very lucky to have
Thanks, I
Sarah.
love it too.
We're lucky to have Shannon. And
Did you
I
just
think
group us together?
I think that because you're women. What I know, I mean, we don't have a close, personal, intimate relationship,
Tony.
being that we met.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut up.
Just come out to the draft party. It's going to be super fun.
I think
Bruce
that's
Jenner.
6 F-bombs for the show. But as we go out here, Sarah, who's going to win the series? Tampa, Chicago?
Dear God, Tampa Bay, please
Scott.
give me
Yes.
give
Who's
me a
gonna
miracle.
win the series?
Well, I hope the God Tampa Bay wins it.
Tampa
if I'm
Bay.
gonna be reasonable,
Patrick, are you going to say
Chicago
Chicago?
probably will win it.
Are you going to say Chicago?
I'm going to say I hope to hell Chicago gets their ass kicked and they never win another game in the NHL again.
Good.
Wow.
In the NHL, ever again.
Ever again.
They'll never win one
And
more.
they die and they become contracted.
Wild Wednesday show. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Mic drop!
Peace out.